Hi, everybody. Welcome to session 11 of Tango with Time. Um, for the record, this is a retake, a reversion of one that was done 4 days ago, maybe around October 3rd, which there was absolutely nothing wrong with the actual information on it. I mean, it's good content, but it was a little rough. And so this is an attempt to make the same content a little clearer, a little more fun, a little more useful. So first of all, as always, I'd like us to start with our breath. If you'll join me, please, just get comfortable. Take a deep breath in and imagine it going all through your body or to the tips of your fingers, which are the parts of us that get things done, and our feet, which is the part that dances often. And out again. And in again, all the way through up to our mind, where it can be like awake and open for better and good things. And out. And one more without my talking. Together now. As most of you know, my name is Bee Sedgwick, and we've been exploring how our relationship with time can be a little bit beyond our conventional sort of linear, predictable, scarce mindset. We've been mainly working on things like history, my fascination with clocks, a little bit of science, and some of the basic things that we do day to day. But the most useful piece that we've talked about is trying to do just what is immediately in front of us. The what should I do now? Which is a useful question always when we're trying to figure out how to interact with time and feel its elasticity. This particular video was prompted by a post on a friend's feed who was asking about how you manage time. And my response was, time doesn't like being managed. Do you? Which intrigued her, but I thought demanded a bigger response. And for that, as a concrete kind of practical thing, I'd like to teach us two steps, the two basic steps in how we think about time and how we use it and how it interacts with those around us. The two steps are how we use time is when we connect with others and when we're getting things done. So play with me. We can probably come up with other things, but for right now, let's just play with those two. And I just want to explain how I do it and how it works for me and how it has changed my relationship with time. The first of them is connecting with other people. And this, a lot of you, I mean, some of you are parents and some of you are, most of you work in some format or other, and there's, obligations to get to work on time, show up at meetings, meet a friend for lunch, get on a Zoom call. When does it start? Sort of the calendar things. And it helps if they're written down, and it's help if we sort of hold them as a commitment, keeping your word kind of piece. That for those of you that know me and Spirit Moxie know that is part of the ways that we hold the world together. The other thing I want to say about it is don't sort of get so committed that you live like this on the schedule pieces. They're just simply on the schedule. And often, even things that we think are concrete times, when we start playing with the elasticity of time, aren't true. I remember picking up a friend for a council meeting, that I'd never been to this particular community council. I was working on a project, and she said, "Oh, we're running late," and they always start right on time, and we'll be walking in late, and it wasn't true. We got there maybe 5 minutes afterwards, and people were still mulling around, thinking about getting started, doing whatever. So however we were holding time, and I really believe this is true, it sort of morphed over into theirs. And it doesn't always work that way, but it often does. I mean, I still remember, which is my other favorite story, the one time I was in Tokyo, and it really was only one time, and I had to catch this train because they'd actually sold me a ticket between the Japanese and the English and all this to get on this one particular train, and I didn't know what would happen if I didn't get on that particular train. And I was lugging this big heavy suitcase, and I was going down these steep stairs and was trying to convince myself I wasn't going to fall to the bottom, and I didn't. But it definitely wasn't pretty. And I definitely was not on the platform by the time the train should have left. And the train definitely wasn't there. It got there again, maybe 5 minutes later. And I'm told that Japanese trains are always on time, but for that particular day, on that particular time, of that particular train, it waited for me. What can I tell you? So that can happen with connections too, but there's always is this angst and obligation piece. So one of the things that I will do to free myself so that I don't get really crazy about it is I'll set reminders. Some of you know that I'm an avid Apple Watch person, and on your Apple Watch you can set a timer, and then it just sort of buzzes on your wrist and nobody knows you're getting reminded about time. And so I'll set that. So if I have 10 or 15 minutes before I need to leave for something or turn the computer on, I can do that and then free my mind and my body not to worry about time. And so I can do or be or have or experience whatever is happening in the other places. So the connection piece becomes two things. Assume that how you're connecting is perfect, and to do the things, the little things that help you honor that. Just don't beat yourself up when it doesn't quite happen. Okay? For some reason, when I was doing this, I was thinking about someone, not really a boss, but somebody higher up in the food chain than I was at a company, who was always late for work. And she got called on it, and she changed her habits and was always on time, maybe a little early. And she couldn't even remember that she'd ever been late. So you never know. Okay, that's neither here nor there. The second part of what we're talking about is the doing part, and that is where I think all the power is. I mean, connection is awesome, and it gives us energy, and it is honoring our word. But there's a thing about doing, about creating, about getting your bed made, whatever it is, that is sort of how so often we feel like judged. I just read something up. I'm not getting any of the things checked off my to-do list that are for me this week. Okay. Again, so the doing part does come back to doing what's immediately in front of you. What was immediately in front of me was re-recording this video and being here and talking to you and trying to make this a little bit clearer. The pieces around that, because I know we have projects and obligations and whatever, is twofold. One, I find it useful, and you might too, in the morning I'll just briefly sort of tag what my schedule and also what I'd like to do. And then I let it go. I really honestly don't remember if re-recording this was anything I even thought of when I woke up this morning. But since I am doing it, I'm really sure that it's one of the things that I was supposed to be doing. I find that when I work at that space and I happen to actually glance at a clock, the time will actually be carved out, as if to say, here's this present, so you can do whatever. Most of you have had the experience of being so engrossed in something that you've, quote, lost track of time. I somehow do that when I publish my Spirit Moxie posts or conversations. Artists, when I read, there's famous stories of my older son when he was a baby crawling up on my lap and putting his hand on both sides of my face to get my attention, because it was the only way when I was in a book. It's a sad story, but he seems to have survived. Anyway, I think it's funny. Whatever. The other piece of that is when I'm engaged in doing something, to just do it. I've found that by just being in that linear space of just being right now, doing whatever I'm doing, like right now talking to you, I can cook multi-course meals without help. I can cook multi-course meals with help. I can walk the dogs, even though I don't think I have enough time, because that's what I'm doing right now. It's as if you go into the doing as just the moment, how it shows up and how it gets accomplished just happens. Again, some of you know I wrote a book, and it's called Spirit Moxie. Moxie Moves, 10 Easy Ways to Make a Powerful Difference. Hold on. I don't think I've ever shared it on Tango with Time. There we go. It's right there. But what was interesting about it was that the timing of it wasn't working. And so odd things would happen, like I'd find a whole proof that I could read uninterrupted on a train trip. I mean, what kind of timing is that? And found I could. Just, and found a mistake. And corrected it. There's this whole, and the thing about the book is that it didn't happen at all like the schedule and the pieces and the whatever, couldn't get a hold of people, blah, 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 blah. But it all ended up being perfect. We ended up giving a party on the only day that happened to be the official launch day of the book, which is another story, that happened to be the one day that the person whose house it was in could do it, that ended up honoring the person who wrote this beautiful thing on the back cover, who had been very ill and died. But his birthday would have been the day before the party, I think. I mean, it was like the same time. It was, if you let time work with you, all the doing and even some of the connection pieces will fall into place. But part of it is really having a general idea, letting go of it, and then doing what is immediately in front of you. And that's really it, darlings. Those are the two steps, two dance steps, if you will. And I invite you to try them out. I invite you to do comments. I invite you to not beat yourself up if it doesn't work, but ask yourself, okay, if this is supposed to happen, why is that true? How is this version what's supposed to be happening? Or what can I make out of it? Or where can it go? Your turn. Come, partner. Let's take one more deep breath and have a fabulous day. All the way in, all these weird ideas, and all out, just offering up all this possibility and time and dance to the world.